Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and welcome to Four Laps Down. We're here with my co-host Daniel Ship. Daniel, how are you? Oh, you're not. You're still muted. Hold on.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I'm
Good.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
I took it upon myself. It's
Yeah,
fine.
there you go. Hey, listen. Technical difficulties are they're a key feature of this show, and we're joined by a NASCAR driver at the Xfinity Series for Mike Harmon Racing, Mr. Bayley Currey. Bayley, how are you?
I'm great. I'm happy to be on here.
Well, we are very excited to have you. Now, we've been doing this for a couple weeks, and you're our first driver. So they always say you never forget where you were that time Bayley Currey came on Four Laps Down. It's going to be it's a monumental night for us. We really enjoy what we do here, but tonight is not about us. Tonight is about you and our viewers getting an opportunity to get to know you. And we're excited to talk. Talk about racing, rubbin and racing, and especially being from Texas and having mullet. We're excited to ask you about that because you wear a mullet better than just about anybody in NASCAR, and there's some steep competition. But
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that if it's coming from you guys. So
yeah,
I'm happy to have that title.
yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one, that's for sure. So, I mean, basically, what we're doing here is we are recording this live in front of the world, but it's ultimately going to be condensed down into a 40-ish minute podcast. So let's just get right to it, shall we?
Cool deal.
Can I start off with one question first?
Go ahead.
Okay, so you're from Driftwood, right?
Yes.
So does that make you a Cowboys fan?
Yes.
Okay, are you happy with the signing? Because I am. Are you happy with it?
You are? I don't know that I am. Russell Wilson being out there kind of might would have rather jumped on that. But
I
hey,
know.
Dak's done good for us in the past, so maybe we can bring that back.
See, okay, good. That's see. I finally found another Cowboys fan that actually likes NASCAR. So
Well,
they
here's
are out there, Nathan.
I know. And here's the deal, Bailey. In the fall, here at Four Laps Down, we do a live weekly NFL show, and we have guests on every
Mhm.
week who pick games with us. So if you're down, maybe we'll get you
Yeah,
on one week, and you and Ship can be the resident Cowboys fans.
I'm proud to do it.
All right. Well, we're checking in. We got a lot of people joining in the chat. There are going to be some questions probably filter through throughout the night. But I want to highlight one comment. Tamarcus Morgan says, "My boy." Tamarcus is in the house.
What up, Tamarcus?
Tamarcus is a good friend of the show, and Paul Huber's here. Let's see who else. Tracy Henson is here. Patrick
It's my
Langley is
mother.
here. All right. Well, thanks to everybody who's tuning in. So, Bayley, take some time to introduce yourself to our viewers, both as a driver, but also as as an awesome guy. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, your start, how you got into racing, and kind of your journey to this point as a regular every week on the track Xfinity driver.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I started out like any other kid, ran go-karts. I'm from Texas. My dad raced a bunch when I was a little kid. He ran right around just local limited late model stuff. So naturally, watching him, I had to do it too. Ended up getting a go-kart, I think, when I was about 7 years old. We were pretty good right off the bat. I think we won like our third race, so it was pretty much on from there. So, yeah, I ran go-karts, then moved up to the Bandolero, Legends Car ranks, traveled all over the country doing that, man, from California to New York. Did that for about 3 years, and then it started to kind of get pretty expensive, especially trying to run like late model stuff and trying to just get up out of Legends cars. So we decided to come back. We'll race local in Texas, go down to Alabama, Pensacola, Florida a couple times a year, run the Derby and things like that. And I was doing that for a while. I was going to school at Texas State. Was in a fraternity. It was kind of I wouldn't say losing interest, but just kind of lacking time, and I wasn't at home as much to work on the race cars, and not as much I'd like to, at least, especially to go and be competitive. I mean, we still won races in Texas, but when I was trying to travel and go down there to Florida and race with the best, in my mind, the best straight rail guys in the country are down in that region. So it was hard to go compete. We weren't racing all the time, and I was really about ready to just stop racing. Uh, and then I had a guy call me that I raced Legends cars with. He knew the crew chief for Rickware Racing at the time, and he kind of just got me out there. He was having me help do road crew and stuff on the weekends. And I got to know Rick that way. He helped me get in the truck at the end of the year of 2017. I ran 3 truck races that year. Then ran a bunch more the next year, 2018, and had an opportunity to get an Xfinity car at the end of the year because someone had quit at JP Motorsports driving the 55. Jumped in there, did all that. And that took us to 2019, where I was kind of running some Xfinity for Harmon. And guys were running a cup car for Rick. That was really special, getting to do that, you know. First cup race, like I said, something you don't forget your first. So that was really neat. Got to run like 10 cup races that year, which was pretty fun. And still running with Mike, you know, on and off. And that's kind of what got us to 2020, where I was running primarily with Mike. I ran a bunch of stuff. I ran like 1 cup race. I ran a couple truck races for Nice. And our success in 2020 is really what landed me in the full-time ride this year in 2021.
Do you still pinch yourself? I mean, do you still wake up and go, "Oh my God, my ass is sitting in a cup car in an Xfinity car in Vegas, and I'm getting ready to drive to Phoenix and go to Atlanta." I mean, is it still surreal sometimes, even though you've been doing it for a little bit?
Sometimes it can be, you know, when we're doing good and we're successful, especially then, when we're going through tough times and we're working 15 hours a day, that then I gotta pinch myself and be like, man, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing wrong here?
Different kind of pinch.
Yeah, it's but you know, then again, when I get to the racetrack and I get to sit down in that seat, it's all worth it.
So tell us about your first cup race. You said you never forget your first. Walk us through kind of what led up to that opportunity, and what was that day like for you? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I could even imagine what it would be like for somebody to say, "Hey, Nathan, you get to be a cup driver today.
You're gonna go run with Jimmy and Kevin and all them guys."
Yeah, no, it was pretty crazy, honestly. You know, I'd done the NASCAR stuff for a while. And you know, the practice and everything, you know, running the practices and all that stuff, but really not much is different other than, like, you know, I go out there and I'm sitting on pit road behind Jimmy Johnson or something. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. But then it didn't really set in until we're doing driver intros and stuff for the race. It's because it's not the show of the Cup Series is so much bigger than the Xfinity and truck. All the people there, the driver intros are like twice as long. The stage, the fireworks, having the planes fly over, because they don't do that really for truck and Xfinity. When the planes flew over, it's kind of like, oh man, this is awesome. Like I'm racing a cup race today. So that was really cool. And then from there, it kind of just seemed like it's regular. You know, we're running races and doing the deal.
So tell our viewers at home, what track was it? What race was it?
Oh yeah, it was Spring Phoenix 2019. So we're actually going to that race now. So I guess 2 years ago this weekend. Yeah, it was awesome. I've been running Xfinity. I ran the Xfinity stuff for Mike on the West Coast. And I think I even ran the Xfinity race that weekend as well. But yeah, it was fun, man. We were pretty decent right off the trailer. You know, for our standards, you know, there's different tiers in the Cup Series. But for our tier of cars, I thought we were pretty solid, and I was pretty happy with our performance.
So when you hear about it, and we do as fans in that aspect, you've done both. Actually, you've done all three. When you get in a cup car, is there a massive difference between a cup car and an Xfinity car of how they run? Because when people see Camaro, they see Mustang, they see Camry, they think it's all the same.
I will say that at the mile and a half is a huge difference. With the 550 package, I never got to run the cup car with the older package with the high horsepower. With the 550 package, it's honestly extremely similar to a truck. A lot of on throttle time, a lot of downforce, very aero sensitive. The Xfinity cars, the 750 package races with the cup cars are more similar to the Xfinity cars. In my opinion, the cup cars still handle a little bit better because they don't have the ride height rule, and they sit so low, and they have a little bit more downforce going on underneath the car. But yeah, I mean, they're similar. I mean, when you're racing at tracks like, you know, these bigger racetracks, mile and a half tracks, you never really ran anything else like anything like that. So I mean, they all kind of coincide with that deal.
So obviously, take the the prestige of the Cup Series out of it for a second. Obviously, everyone wants to run Cup if they can pick between Cup and Xfinity. Which car is more fun to drive? Just you and 20 other drivers get to go out and race for fun. Nobody watching, nothing on the line. Let's just go out and have fun. Which car, Xfinity or Cup, is more fun to drive for you?
I'm gonna say hands down Xfinity car, honestly. Uh, the way the low downforce and everything about it, the composite body, uh, there's the blast to drive. You know, when we go to places like Atlanta and Homestead and places like that where you really can wear the tires out and you're running 160 miles an hour around these places, but you're still dog sideways, like just sliding all over the place. To me, that's the most fun thing in the world. And then with the composite body, you can beat and bang on each other and not have to worry about getting tire rubs or anything like that. Uh, to me, I have the most confidence driving Xfinity cars because I've done it the most. And I just like the racing and the racing style you have in Xfinity.
Cool, very cool. So this year, you're full time. Now, is this your first full time? Is this your first full time seat at the NASCAR top
Yes,
three
it
levels?
is my
Okay.
first full time season, first point season, I guess, which I'm really excited for. You know, like I said, we had really good success with Mike in 2020. Hoping we can. We had a rough go the first three races. We were a little bit better last week. Hopefully, we can keep the momentum going this week and get a little bit better. But if we can stay consistent, I think we can have a really good season.
And now you're driving the 47 or the 74?
In the 74.
74. So who's the full time driver for the 47?
Kyle Weatherman.
Kyle Weatherman, that's right. And that's something that, as a host of a NASCAR podcast, I should definitely know, but I couldn't think of it. I got to ask you about working with Mike Harmon, because obviously he is anybody that's been around racing or watching racing or a fan of racing for any amount of time knows the name Mike Harmon. He's a legend, right?
Mm.
He's kind of a quirky guy. What's he like in real life? Is he every bit the guy that the stories say that he is, or are they a little bit embellished?
I mean, somewhat. I mean, you definitely don't see. It's just like anything else. You don't see all of every person on social media or TV or things like that. I really like Mike. I mean, obviously the whole Applebee's story, you know, with Mike Lynette, that's a big one that always comes to mind with Mike. And yeah, I mean, I could totally see him doing that. I wasn't racing with him at the time, but I could totally see him spouting off and saying something like that.
Well, and I
But
don't know.
yeah, he's really cool.
I don't know if you caught this, but in the Facebook post, I listed some hashtags. I did hashtag Mike Harmon Racing, hashtag Applebee's.
Oh yeah, they're hand in hand at this point. I feel like,
Yeah.
especially on the social media. But yeah, he's really cool. I like you know, I usually go down and sit down in his office at the shop, and we'll talk about something small, and then we'll talk for 2 hours about late model racing in Alabama or something like that. So he's got a lot of cool old stories like that. He's a really cool guy to hang out with.
Have you ever raced against him on the track?
Yeah,
at
I
any
think
level.
a couple times. Yeah, I think probably my earlier truck starts when he was doing a lot more truck stuff. And I think when I was running those Xfinity races for JP Motorsports and 55 car, he was running then too.
Okay. Very cool. So, you'd mentioned before that you were doing the West Coast stuff for Mike Harmon. So how did you initially get hooked up with Mike Harmon? Was it just that he needed a driver and you were available for a one-off and it just kind of stuck, or what's the story there?
Well, it really started. Rick Ware Racing had bought some Xfinity points and kind of had the start to an Xfinity team. Like he had the number and everything like that, and we used like their pit equipment. But Mike was supplying the cars, so that's kind of how I guess he wasn't supplying the car. Rick owned the car, but Mike kind of prepared it and brought it to the racetrack. His guys did. So that's how I got to know Mike, and I'd go over to their shop sometimes and help on the car and get ready to go to the racetrack. For a while, Rick kind of sold those points off and sold it to Mike, and I just continued to drive. It was the 17 car at the time. I just continued to be his driver, whether we were starting parking or for whatever. So that's kind of how I got to know him. And I guess he just liked me, liked my driving style, was happy with my performance, so he kind of kept me around.
Awesome.
So let me ask you this, and I thought it was really cool, and I think you tweeted about it earlier today. My son is a big diecast collector.
Hmm.
He made me order it, so we do have it pre-ordered. So how does that make you
Awesome.
feel? I mean, 20 early 20s, you've got your own diecast car now that you know that all these young kids that watch it, and now that's going to kind of be a solid thing that people can hold on to and always remember. I mean, it'll always be there, especially with that paint scheme, which, as you can see.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. You grow up racing, you want to be a NASCAR driver, you want to have all that stuff. So I guess mark it down as one of hopefully many more firsts,
Mm-hmm.
and we can keep going on and doing stuff like that.
Now, did you have any? Did you have any NASCAR diecasts when you were a kid? Were you one of those fans that wanted to have everything, or were you just more
I
about racing the real cars?
I had a couple. I had a Dale Jr. diecast. I think I had a couple Jeff Gordon diecast. Uh, but yeah, I had a handful of them. I wasn't like a super like collector or anything.
Yeah.
I definitely had a bunch of Hot Wheels when I was a kid. I'd
Mm-hmm.
run those things around the house. But yeah, I mean, especially once I got to actually driving, I was more into just kind of what I was doing, and especially the racing scenes I was in. Like when I was running Legends cars, I knew who won what race anywhere over the weekend, just because I wanted to know everything about it. Wanted to know who was good and who was running where. Same thing when I got to late models. I was on speed51.com every day, just figuring out anything I could about that stuff. So now that I'm in NASCAR, I kind of learn a little bit more about that stuff uh, and more involved.
Well, now it's not just names of people you see on TV. It's your buddies, it's your colleagues, your coworkers,
Mm-hmm.
really. So that's got to be a pretty cool feeling. Um, One of the things that I've really enjoyed as we've been doing this podcast, I've really enjoyed getting to hear stories about kind of behind the scenes, not necessarily like crazy wild stories, but just stories about the folks behind the scenes that the fans don't get to see, that in my opinion don't get a lot of recognition, but they deserve every bit of it. So talk to us a little bit about your team. I mean, what's it like working with the mechanics and with the media folks? How's your experience been with all of that?
It's definitely it's cool. Coming from running short track stuff, it was just me and my dad really. So having more people around and having more of a team is definitely different. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the camaraderie of everything and busting each other's balls, things like that. I have a lot of fun, and I know all the guys on the team do as well.
So do you ever get the itch to go back and run a legend or a late model? I mean, or do you often do
Yeah,
it during the off season?
every time I see one, the shop we were working out about here in Las Vegas had a Legends car in it, and I was looking it over, and they were talking about racing it, and I was like, man, I wouldn't mind getting another one of those and running a couple races. So, uh, yeah, all the time. I mean, even late model stuff. When I see them on the internet, I think about it.
So do you find yourself browsing like the Facebook Marketplace and searching like Legends
Yeah.
cars and
Oh yeah.
because I'll be honest, I've looked at it and they're not as expensive as you would think. Now granted, it's a little more expensive than slow pitch softball as a hobby, for example. But
Right.
I was surprised, because my first experience around Legends cars, I've never been to a Legends race. I didn't know a ton about them. I knew they existed, but getting into iRacing, a little while back, that kind of exposed me to the Legends cars. And I mean, hey, if they're half as fun as they are on iRacing, I'm sure they'd be a blast. But talk to me about iRacing, because as you know, the iRacing thing has exploded. Obviously, it certainly helped with the exposure they got during the COVID-19 pandemic. Having the races with the top series Cup cars, Cup drivers on TV and everything. But have you gotten into the iRacing scene at all?
A little bit. I have a buddy who has a league, and I run in that. Was definitely. I kind of got burnt out on it when we were doing all the NASCAR ones, because if you weren't on there practicing all day every day, you kind of look like a scrub when they do those broadcasted races. I mean, I think at Dover during the week, I think I ran 1,000 practice laps, but I mean, you had to, because everybody was.
Whoa.
Yeah, it sucked. Like you had to be on there all the time, but it was fun. I have fun with it now, especially in my league. Um, I know all those guys and have a lot of fun racing with them.
So what kind of league is it? I mean, are they running late models? Are they running super lates, cup cars? What do they run?
The Iron Thunder Racing League has 4 divisions of racing. We run ARCA, trucks, Xfinity, and Cup cars. So we're actually in the off season right now. The Cup Series and the Xfinity Series are going to start up here in a few weeks. We just got done running the trucks and ARCA, so I'm excited to get that back going. I really enjoy racing with those guys. I really don't get as much into the just regular official races now because, especially in hosted stuff too, just because I don't know the people, I don't know how they race, and a lot of them just crash you for no reason. And I get annoyed with that. So the leagues are a lot more fun because I know those guys and know they would do that.
I can tell you though, even league races sometimes can be pretty crazy. So four laps down is kind of an associate sponsor for the Full Throttle Performance Sim Racing League, and they have a Cup and Truck series. And man, I'm just telling you, that Cup series, there's some drivers in there that are really good, and then there's some drivers in there that cause a lot of yellow flags. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But so we've got a question from the chat, so I want to ask you about this. So Ellen Kasevich, I'm probably mispronouncing that, so I apologize.
You're probably butchering the shit out of that.
It looks a little bit Polish, and I'm really not great at pronouncing Polish last names. So I'm sorry, Ellen. We're going to call her Ellen K. So Ellen K says, Bayley drove the 74 Xfinity car at Daytona with the sponsor Running for Heroes. Can Bayley tell us a little bit more about what Running for Heroes is?
Running for Heroes is an organization that it's one kid really, and he runs a mile for fallen police officers and firefighters, just for their families, and it's a charity. They raise money for the families. It's honestly an awesome deal. I was super happy to be a part of that organization and representing them at Daytona. I actually got to run one of the miles with Zach. It was really cool to be a part of that, and I'm really proud to have got to represent them.
How'd you do in that mile? Did you run all the way, or did you walk a little bit?
I did better than I thought.
Good.
I actually kept up with Zach the whole time. Granted, he carried a flag all the way. It was actually a mile and a half all the way around Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Wow.
But I made sure I didn't embarrass myself. I was kind of worried, I'm not going to lie. But I made sure I could keep up.
Good, very good. So did you time that mile? What was your time? I got to ask. I'm a competitive guy, so I'm
okay, so
How fast did you run?
I won't.
It's a long 4 minutes, man.
Because I had a lot of people talking trash to me about it. But a mile and a half, it took like 11 minutes, 20 seconds.
I mean, that's not hateful. That's not hateful.
It's faster than when I run, and I'm supposed to do it every day. I don't.
Yeah.
That's why I sit at a desk in an office. I'm not out there.
Yeah. Well, you're also. I mean, criminals are getting slower. So he chases criminals for a living, and criminals are getting slower. So you can be a little slower, right?
So did you see the comments? So I guess Ellen is stating that Zach is her grandson.
Okay.
Oh, really?
And she said he's nearing 1,000 miles now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Ellen,
that is awesome.
Ellen,
thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Cool. I had no clue. I see the comment now. Yeah, it's our grandson. She says he's nearing 1,000 miles. That's really awesome. So, Bayley, where can we and where can our viewers go and check out Running for Heroes and contribute?
I mean, you can go to their Facebook page, their Twitter. It's all under Running for Heroes. And just check out both their pages. They have website links on there. Just go check it out. Follows everything you can do. I know he runs all of his miles Facebook Live, and you can check those out as well.
Is it a good beer? Is that a good beer? Is that a good beer, by the way?
It was a good time to drink too. Ellen, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. We did not know that, but I'm really glad that we could take time to highlight.
Don't read it. Just keep going.
We can take time to highlight causes like that. And Ellen has actually put the website in the chat. So if you're following along, with us here in the chat. The website is in the chat. Please go check them out. And if you feel so moved, please contribute. It's a good cause. And I'm happy to have the opportunity for our viewers to get involved with that this evening. So, shifting gears a little bit, what's it been like being stuck in Vegas for a week?
It's not that bad. Get to wake. I mean, it's pretty much just regular work week, really. I mean, I get up in the morning, we go to the shop, work on the cars, come back. Only might throw some money on the roulette table in between those. So it's fun. It's cool. It's kind of expensive. Not gonna lie. All the food's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a good time. I enjoy it. It's a change of pace for sure from North Carolina. It's been freezing out there, so.
Yeah. Hey, no. It was 75 here today. It was 75 here in Fayetteville, and it's not supposed to drop below 70 here for like a week. So you're good, bro. If you want to come back, this is now the time. But if you're busy.
But Ship, when people say North Carolina, they're not talking about Fayetteville.
I use it, Fort Bragg, whatever you want to say. I don't care. It's a rough idea of where we're at. Okay, North Carolina in general was warmer today. Shut up.
Welcome to the Thunderdome. So what kind of stories, I mean, have you gathered over the last couple years? I mean, obviously a guy like yourself, I mean, you've been around a lot of different series. I mean, you said, Legends, Bandoleros and Truck Series and Xfinity, working with a lot of different guys, a lot of different teams. What are some of your favorite stories to tell about your time, coming up through the racing ranks?
I mean, really, a lot of the best ones come out of the short track stuff. I mean, there's a lot less rules and regulations that go on there.
A lot more fist fights.
There's a lot more shenanigans that might go on. After the races are over, people drinking beer, sitting around. I can remember one time there's a local Texas legend.
Yeah, you don't have to say names. Yeah,
he took he actually took someone's car. They left it out, put it up on jack. They took it out on the racetrack, put it on 4 jack stands, put an easy up 10 over the top of it, took all 4 tires off and shoved them in the flag stand, and people came up all confused at the racetrack the next day. I thought that was pretty awesome. I mean, there's countless stories from the short track days, and even from when I was a kid running around the Legends Car track, man. All those kids that actually, it's kind of funny. A lot of them are up racing in the NASCAR stuff today, but we terrorize those places, man. Running around, just messing with people, doing anything we could, just trying to have a good time. So I can remember running around with the Bassett's all the time when we were racing Bandoleros. And I mean, all the people, I say half people that I met and raced with doing Legends Car stuff when we were all kids, goofing off like that, have made it up to the NASCAR ranks, which is pretty cool.
So, Ship's got to take a short break. He's got to switch laptops because he forgot his charger to this one.
Ship didn't forget a charger.
Ship did. Well, I just didn't say which Ship.
Thank you.
So while he does that, Bailey, I want to ask you about. Let's see. I've got to do this. All right. So I want to ask you about some of these short track guys that you race with. You had mentioned, you kind of led me right into it. With my follow-up here, you said, some of these guys that you had some shenanigans and races with or in the Cup Series day. Who are some of the drivers that our viewers would know that you grew up racing against?
I mean, my teammate Kyle Weatherman, raced with him when I was 12 years old, racing with Daniel Hemrick, Bubba Wallace, the Bassett's, raced Chad Fincham when I was younger. Man, there's a ton of them. I remember racing late models when Harrison Burton was running, Chase Elliott, racing with him in late models. Even back in old Bandolero days, I remember racing with Chase. He had the green, I think it was ABF freight car or something. But, I'm sure I'm forgetting some too. I'm sure there was kids at the racetrack that I didn't know that are probably up doing this stuff now. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how many people from, I guess, my era and the Legends cars and Bandolero stuff made it up to the higher ranks.
Yeah. So, are there any drivers that you raced against that kind of made it into the into the big show, if you will, and you kind of think to yourself, yeah, I definitely expected that. You know, back when we were 12, 13 years old, we all knew he was going to be good. Anybody that stands out?
I mean, I'll be honest. I remember racing when I was 12 and I first met Daniel Hemrick. Man, he won everything in Legends cars, and I always knew he'd make it up there. There's a lot of kids that I didn't think they would make it up there that have made it, but I mean, there's, like I said, in that era, I feel like it was pretty high. I don't want to say talent pool, but I feel like a lot of kids from that era made it up to the NASCAR ranks.
Yeah. So now, and obviously, I know how loaded of a question this is, but are there any folks that you can say, hey, I'm not sure that I thought he was gonna get up there, but he's there. Anybody that stands out?
I'll just say yes. There are some, but I won't say who.
Fair enough. I can respect that answer. Looks like Ship is coming back with us. Hang on one second here. Something maybe. There he is. Did you switch your microphone over, Mr. Ship?
Do you hear me?
Yeah, you need to switch your mic.
Go ahead.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he's saying. Let's see here. All right,
There, you got me.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah,
Much
there we go.
better.
Sorry.
So we were just talking to Bailey about some of the guys he raced against, and he respectfully declined to name the folks that he is surprised to have made it to the big leagues. So we'll move on from that topic. But I guess tell me, who was the most challenging racer to drive against? Like the guy that not necessarily always had your number, but just the guy that you felt was like your arch nemesis from a competitive standpoint.
I really didn't have too many, rivals or anything like that. But I will say, some of the guys that I feel like, that were the toughest to race and toughest to beat were some of the guys that, never made it to the NASCAR stuff. I mean, one of the more notable names, and I didn't race with him a lot, but we had some good battles. Bubba Pollard back in the late model days. Another guy from Texas, Joe Armadillo. We raced modifieds together, and he's always tough to beat, especially when I was younger. And those guys had so many more years of experience than I had. And trying to go toe to toe with those guys when I was, 14, 15 years old was pretty tough, but I feel like it made me a better racer overall. And I tried to learn as much as I could from them.
So where do you think you'd be today if you would have never gotten the experience racing against these really, really talented drivers? Because, as in anything, you get better. You don't get better by competing against people who are significantly below your skill level. You get better by competing against people who are at or above your skill level and rising to their level. So if you didn't have the opportunity to race some of these really talented drivers today, do you think that you would still be in racing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like I would have learned one way or another, but I think it definitely sped the process up. I remember when I was young, there's doing Legends car stuff. There's 3 or 4 divisions of Legends car racing. There's like the young line, semi-pro, pro, masters, whatever. Masters is like the older guy division. But I remember you have an option, like once you win a race, you can move to the pro division, which is where, like I said, when I was 12, Daniel ran the pro division, Bubba Wallace ran the pro division. A lot of notable guys. They were, especially back then, Legends cars, a lot of them had never made it to NASCAR, but they were good. All of them were really good. And we were talking about, my crew chief was like, look, you can continue to stay in this lower division and win races, or you can just move up now and try to win races with those guys. And that's what I did. So I feel like I've always tried to step up to the plate and compete with more competition.
What about outside of racing? What have you ever had the thought of if the racing thing didn't work out? And obviously it did, and it seems like you've definitely earned your stripes in that regard. But what if it didn't work out? I mean, where do you think you'd be doing if not for racing?
I have no idea. I have no idea, honestly. Probably, I don't know. Maybe he's working on street cars or something, or I have no clue. I've never really even thought about that. That's all I've really done since I was a little kid. I've spent more years of my life racing than not. So yeah, that really never crossed my mind. And when there was that time that I was thinking about, stopping, I was kind of just riding it out. I was just going. I was going to school down at Texas State, and I was having a good time. I wasn't really thinking about that other stuff.
What'd you major in college?
I'm mechanical engineering.
Okay. How has that background? How has that education background helped you, at the racetrack? Because I mean, obviously, like Ryan Newman's an engineer, and to watch him work on a dirt car is something crazy. How has that background helped you with what you're doing?
I think it just helps me be more involved. I already try to be as involved as I can, but I might look at something a little bit more in depth than the next guy. Maybe, I don't know. I like to think it helps, and just trying to use the math and stuff. I mean, because that's really all that stuff is math and equations, and maybe might help me figure something out before I get there, or have something to figure. Like I'll do something to figure out why it did what it did when I get back.
So are you the kind of driver, because you have that aspect with a smaller team, more people get involved in the building and the modifications and preparing, and especially with no practice, no qualifying, it's really narrowed it down to kind of get you guys prepared. Are you more involved in that aspect?
Oh, absolutely.
Putting your hands on that car?
Absolutely. I mean, I go into the shop and work with the guys all day, so I try to be as involved as I can and pay attention to, what other guys are doing, what the bigger teams are doing, and try to emulate that, and just try to make us better every week.
Do you think that involvement helps you perform better on race day?
I think so. I mean, I feel like as involved as you can be, and just trying to, pay attention to all that kind of stuff. I think that always helps.
So what do you like to do?
Oh,
go ahead, Dan.
Go ahead.
No. I was going to change gears, so go ahead.
No, and I asked about that because, this is your first full-time ride. Do you think this no practice, no qualifying thing this year has made it tougher, or has put more pressure for people to kind of learn their cars quicker in an aspect? Because I know, like, they talk about people that aren't really very involved. They use stage 1 or stage 2 to figure out. Like, I listened to Chase Briscoe when he was talking about Vegas on SiriusXM. He said, he basically used the entire stage 1 to figure his car out. And then as he started to make the right adjustments, is that kind of putting a little bit more pressure on that kind of aspect?
Yeah, I think so. I think when I'm there at the shop and I kind of know what we're putting into it, I think that helps, because I know, like, okay, if I'm going to feel something in the first stage, it's going to be this, so I can kind of expect it. As opposed to someone who might not be as involved as much, they might be more timid or not want to push it right off the bat, so they can figure out what they're going to feel and what they can do to compensate for it.
Well, did you have any more questions about that, Chip?
No, continue on, Mr. Nickel.
Well, I was just going to say, so changing gears a little bit. So when you're not at the racetrack, when you're not working on cars, what's Bayley Currey like to do? What's a great afternoon away from the racetrack and the race shop look like for you?
Hanging out with friends as much as I can, doing whatever, really. I mean, if I can hang out with people that I like to hang out with, and having a good time, doesn't matter what we're doing. Been trying to get into golf lately, not good at it, but trying to play it, something to do. Trying to, it's something to do, go out and have a couple beers on the course. It's always fun. I might jump on iRacing here, once in a while. Play Rocket League on the Xbox maybe. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm average 24-year-old, not doing a whole lot, but trying to have fun doing everything I do.
Yeah. So, who on the Cup Series? Fortnite. Who on the Cup Series is the best golfer?
I'll be honest, I never golf with anybody who races in the Cup Series. I golf more with people that I work with in the shop.
Okay, so who
but
in the
I have
shop
legends
is the
in the
best
shop.
golfer?
I'll tell you the best golfer I play with that I've worked with is actually a buddy of mine from Texas. He works at Nice Motorsports now. He was my tire guard on my late model for a long time. And, like I said, none of us are good, but he's better than the rest of us. My buddy Pockets, he's pretty sporty on the golf course.
Did you say
If he's watching, I'll probably kill you pumped that I said his name.
Did you say his name is Pockets?
Yes, that's what people call him.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was like his government name or what, but I mean, hey, so all right, so Pockets, if you're watching, you know, well done being the best golfer among a group of guys who maybe aren't good at golfing. But hey,
to me, being the best golfer means you don't get triple digits. You're 90s.
Yeah, so
95.
So it's it's so funny because golf is one of those like universal things, right? People of all backgrounds everybody's back on everyone's back on the same level playing field, when it comes to the golf course. You might play golf with some of these mechanics who can build one hell of a race car, but then they're not as great behind the wheel, and you're the driver, and maybe they can outbuild you, but you can outdrive them. When it goes to the golf course, everybody's back on level ground again.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ultimate equalizer. So, I mean, one of the things that we said when we brought you on the show, I told you kind of before we went live here that I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about any type of charity or causes or projects that you got going on. I mean, what kind of things do you want our viewers at home to know about that Bayley Currey's got going on right now?
I mean, I guess first off, definitely check out Running for Heroes. Great cause. Was really happy to represent them. And then make sure to, tune into FS1 this weekend. We're going out here to Phoenix. Hopefully we're going to have another good run representing Lerner and Rowe attorneys on the car. Happy to have them on for the second week in a row. We're having them on at Vegas. It's a yellow car. Impossible. Should be
losing you a little bit here.
You might be going through that Phoenix, that
that
Arizona desert.
Forest, and also check out all the social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Trying to get into it.
Let's see here. You got us back?
Am I losing you?
Well, we lost you there a little bit. We heard
you're going through that desert, man.
Yeah, they don't have all this. Those cactuses don't. They don't.
Literally, it's flat ground. It's flat ground, and there's nothing out there.
When is Elon Musk going to invent a 5G cactus so that the desert can have cell reception?
Yeah.
So no, we heard you say check out.
I mean, even just a pod. I mean, we have a jetpack.
We heard you talk about tune into FS1 this weekend. I think you were shouting out your sponsor for the car, and you kind of started cutting out. You losing us?
I think we're.
Guys. Yeah, I was saying, I heard you say something about sponsor. Yeah, we had to make sure to check out the race.
Let's see here. So, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so real quick, one more time, give your sponsor a shout out so everybody hears it.
Yeah, just make sure to keep an eye on the yellow Lerner and Rowe Attorney Chevrolet number 74.
All right, we got there eventually. It was a little bit of a problem.
It's the 74, not the 47. Absolutely.
Out here at Phoenix.
Yeah. All right, so the yellow 74 Chevrolet is going to be running hot laps at Phoenix on Saturday. What time's the race on Saturday? Is it noon local time in Phoenix?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, so 3:30 right here on the East Coast. Be sure to tune in. Be sure to tune in to FS1 and catch Bayley in action. Bailey, we've had a good time, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know, you're busy, but you found some time on a couple hour car trip down from Vegas to Phoenix. And appreciate everybody that's in the car with you for putting up with us and letting you do that.
Exactly.
And keeping the radio turned down,
leaving the light on
low, and keeping the light on. Yeah, absolutely. So before we sign off here for the evening, Bailey, I just want to let you know one of the requirements that we have for all of our guests is that if you win on Saturday, you have to shout out 4 laps down in your speech on the start finish line there as they give you the flag.
Can make that happen.
Thank you. In all seriousness,
I'm sure he can work it in. It's pretty easy to get it in there.
Well, listen. So I got one last question for you. What size shirt do you wear?
I'm a large.
You're a large. So I got right over here. Hang on one second. Yep, I got right here with your name on it. I got an authentic Realtree camo performance dry fit shirt that I'm gonna send to you with our logo on it. And you don't have to wear it, but I'm gonna send it to you anyway. So
awesome.
When we're done here, make sure you send Daniel an address where I can send that to, and that's just a little token of our appreciation for you coming on the show and taking some time.
Oh yeah, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I do have one of our
and anytime you want to come back on, by all means, absolutely.
I have one of our previous guests that's told me that when his shirt arrives, because I'm sending him one too, that he's good. So he is he's the truck chief for the number 9 for CR7 Sports. It's Mr. Chris Womack, and he told me that when he gets his shirt, he's gonna wear it on pit road and send me a picture. So I don't know if you can upscale that and wear it in Victory Lane one day or what, but
I'll see what I can do.
There you go.
I was about to say, can it be like the old school? You just lay it in the back window as he drives.
There you go. So, well, listen, Bailey, we've had tons of fun. Thank you for coming on. It's been really great to hear from a driver. We've heard from people on pit crews and shops, and we heard from a sponsor 2 weeks ago, and we heard from a car designer last week. We've got actually next week. I'm going to let Ship talk a little bit about who we got coming on next week.
So I was really excited. I was able to reach out last night, and I was actually able to make contact with Mr. Doug Rice from PRN, the president. So he is going to be joining us next week. So I was able to, so that'll be fun. Yeah,
we're very excited. So, Bailey, we appreciate it, and we're going to let you get out of here and enjoy the rest of that long car ride.
Hey, man, thanks. Hopefully we can get on here again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to sign off for the evening. Thanks for tuning in. Keep an eye out for this to become a more traditional style podcast at all the places you like your podcast: Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Music, all of it. We're going to be there soon with all of our episodes, including this one. Thanks to the chat for tuning in and asking some questions and giving us some shout out. And with that being said, guys, peace, love, and Busch Light.